The cyberspace is home to billions of people and is the right platform you need to grow your business. The Center for Innovation and Technology is offering you a golden opportunity to speak directly to your market at an affordable price. We also offer media training workshops, live streaming, documentary production, and events management. Get in touch with us today on the following numbers: +263 867 711 0290 or 0718 100 235. Don't forget to subscribe to our social media platforms. Like our Facebook page, Center for Innovation and Technology. Follow us on Twitter @SiteZW. And you can also check out our website www.site.org.zw. You can also visit our offices at 45 Moffat Avenue, Hillside, Blaaway. Take advantage of this opportunity to expand your business.
This is Asake Online and welcome to Health and Living Talk Show. Today we're going to be talking about mental health, and joining us to discuss about this very important topic is a very young lady who is passionate about mental health, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Zenani Mauku. I am the founder and advocate for mental health organization named African Institute for Ending Bullying, Depression and Suicide.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, getting into it. What inspired you to found this organization?
I had my own episodes when I was growing up where I faced depression, and I realized that there was no institution that helped young people who were going through depression and any sort of mental health. And I found that as a gap in our country. So I felt like having to find how to close that gap as a mission. So that's why I started it.
Okay, all right, that's great then. And to your own understanding, what is mental health?
Mental health are disorders of the mind. They're psychiatrical problems where you're not yourself, you're not sane, and it's things that just happen in the head mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we all know that mental health affects how we think and how we act. It also determines how we handle stress and relate to others and make choices. But what would you say is the importance of mental health?
Importance of mental health or mental health awareness?
Mental health awareness, and just to be mentally healthy as a person, what is the importance of that?
I believe you can't function if you are not mentally okay. Mental health makes you unable to perform your daily duties. That can lead to poverty, it can lead to a dysfunctional family, it can lead to your dysfunctional career, it can destroy you as a person, it can destroy your external family, it can destroy the growth of, if you're a parent, to your children, because they're constantly being affected by how you react to them, how you treat them and all that. Also, if you realize with mental health, there are various types of mental health. There's even maternal mental health, cases where infants die because of their mother who's depressed. Yes, so those are the problems that you find.
You've mentioned postpartum depression. I believe that there are different types of mental disorders or mental illnesses. What would you say are the different types of mental disorders?
It'll be a long list. I think it would take the whole show for us to talk about the different types of mental health. Yes. Mental health is just mainly described as you having not being in your right sense of mind. For example, you hear of schizophrenics, people who have different types of personalities. You have clinical depression where someone has to be medically admitted because of their depression. There are just so many types of of mental health disorders or diseases that you find people having. Yeah.
Okay. But realizing that there are many types of mental illnesses, what could be the leading cause of those mental illnesses and disorders?
Currently in Zimbabwe, it's the lack of having livelihoods that are causing people to have mental breakdowns. You find that most people are turning to alcohol, to addictives to try and sustain themselves mentally and not realizing that they're breaking themselves. You find even in Gulama cases where you have people who were alcoholics and were using weed at the same time, and then leading to a huge mental breakdown. You find that a lot of cases where we have youth who are mental institutions are there because they're unemployed, they are either in abusive families. Also, abuse is another social issue that leads to mental health problems. So yeah, social issues like abuse, like violence, like rape, stuff that just involve a human being violated. Also, a lack of livelihoods leads to a lot of people losing a balance in their mental health. So that's one of the leading causes actually in Zimbabwe, where we have more mental health problems, where the economy in itself is just pushing people to break.
Okay. And what would you say are the warning signs of someone who is suffering from mental illness?
There are a lot of different signs when it comes to mental illness. Is not one. There are different types of mental illness. Yes. Like I said before, you find there are people who are schizophrenic, you find people who are depressed, you find people who they have different, there's a long list of different types of mental health. So I can't say a specific type of symptom, but of course acting out of character is one of the symptoms you usually see. Acting out of character, things that maybe you find someone is more violent, or they're keeping to themselves, or they're just acting off character. That's one of either the first signs and symptoms you find when it comes to mental health.
Okay. Many people are usually not treated when it comes to mental illness, and there's the stigma around mental health. That is that mental health problems are for the weak, and or someone bamloyile, that's why they're going mental or whatever. And what is your take on that, on the stigma around mental health?
The problem with the stigma of mental health is the lack of knowledge and knowledge around mental health in itself. A lot of people just don't have enough knowledge to help them understand what mental health is, where they can get help when they do find themselves either having a family who is mentally affected, or who has a mental illness and they're affected, or they themselves are affected. I've met a lot of people who always inquire to say, if I'm facing such a challenge, where do I go? They don't know. They don't know what UPH they offer. About the psychiatric unit, Impilo is offering, UPH is offering. They just don't know. And also, yeah, it's true. A lot of other people believe that having a mental illness is a sign of weakness. It's because of how we have been socialized. That's the other problem. I think it's just a matter of changing the narrative around mental health. Having to, like how HIV started off, people had a big stigma around it. It was just a matter of educating people on mental health and what it is and how you can get help. But if there is anyone out there who's facing any mental health issues, it's better to feel like you're yourself than to feel out of character, because either way you're supposed to live your life, and you need to live it with a fully functioning and healthy mental state.
Stigma erodes confidence that mental illnesses are real and they're actually treatable health conditions. You find out a child cannot actually go to a parent and tell them that, Mom, I'm depressed, I'm being bullied at school, because how can you say you're depressed? We're giving you everything that you need. How would you advise parents who've got actually children have approached them and told them that, Mom, I've got depression, or I'm going through bullying or something? What would you advise them to do?
On that I'll say ignorance is the biggest poison that you can ever allow yourself to feed on. Yes. Most parents, you know what, the psychiatrists say that every person, every human being is like a rubber band. Some stretch and they break here, some stretch and they break there, some stretch and they break there, some continuously stretch and sometimes they never break. It's just like, again, it's a matter of being educated on the matter. It's better to understand than to ignore. Also, you realize some children come from backgrounds where they go to witch doctors and all those things, and maybe they're afraid of that. And some, because of abusive homes, they're afraid of how they'll be taken in by having to talk about this. But what I can say is that if you're a child and you're facing mental health and you're afraid of your parents, you're afraid of where to go, there are institutions that can take you and can help you. Right, you have institutions where we have, like in Contacts by First Avenue, yes. You have UBH, you have Mpilo, you have Ngujene. These are institutions that are available to
yes. They are there to help us actually.
Yes, yeah. So if you're a child, you're a student, you're a youth, you're an adult, and you need help, and you feel like you cannot get help from the immediate close relatives or friends, these are the first points of calls, I believe. Second points of calls where you can go and try and get help. But yes, it's a problem because for mental health patients, they need support from their families. It's really key to have a supportive background, because you can't go through it alone. So you also, as the parents, I believe it's about time parents acknowledge the fact that when we have our children at schools, we're having them there to be educated. And also having to be aware to say, if my child is being bullied and is unable to function and to produce the results that they themselves as the parents want, they need to protect them. And by protecting them, they have to stop the bullying, right? Because a child who is being bullied cannot function at all at school. And also the parents will be wasting their fees. So it's a losing game for them if they're unable to really protect their kids. But yes, it's a problem because of the lack of knowledge around bullying and its effects, lack of knowledge on how mental health can destroy a person.
With the current economic situations, there's a lot of young people who are unemployed, and there are a lot of graduates who are sitting at home doing nothing, and which is not okay. And most of those young unemployed youth are turning to drug abuse because they've got literally nothing to do. They're using drugs to numb their reality. How is drug abuse related to mental health problems?
Yes, it is. Why? Because we have people who are unable to get the things that they need. The reason why we go and get jobs is to have livelihoods that can support us and help us to be sustainable, to move on, to be happy. If you're not happy, you're bound to be depressed. And so, and as human beings, we hate that feeling of depression, of sadness, of hopelessness. So we find other ways to try and help ourselves to be happy. So what most of these unemployed youths don't realize is their means of happiness is actually a means of their distraction. And sometimes they actually do know, but they want to numb their pain and they want to ignore what they're going through, which is a problem because a lot of them then tend to misuse the drugs that they use. Sometimes they even mix the drugs, and at the end of the day, it affects their neural system, it affects their minds, they just break, and it's just, they have some type of a mental health problem at the end of the day. They're unable to function with the sane mind. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so meaning drugs can actually lead to a mental breakdown.
Yes.
Okay. In the past year, we've seen a spike in suicides. We've seen a lot of headlines that young people are committing suicide, especially at universities. What would you say is the reason that young people are committing suicide?
Lack of knowledge, lack of support system. They don't have the support system. They don't know who to turn to. They don't know where to go. And already we have the stigma against mental institutions where we're saying when you go there,
Yes.
the place already doesn't look attractive. Already you feel like you're gonna get there and you're gonna be in a place where there are all these mad people, and it's a movie, it's a Hollywood scene, and it's quite scary. So you don't know where to go. And also the knowledge of, what do I do when I face this? And some people don't even realize that they have a mental issue. Sometimes with mental illness, you don't realize you have a mental illness. Even if someone was to point it out to you that, I think the way you act is off character, they wouldn't believe it, because most mental health patients cannot accept that they are not okay because they cannot see it.
Okay.
So that's why you find that most students end up committing suicide. They don't have the support system, they don't know where to go, and they don't know what to do. And that's the problem. In Zimbabwe alone, the mental institutions that we have are very few. Yes, there's Mpilo, there's UPH, there are organizations such as Contact and Samaritan. But when you go to UPH, most often, the psychiatrists are not there. If you go to Mpilo as well, the same issue.
Okay.
Then there's sometimes the lack of the right support when you get there. Some just have a bad attitude towards you. It's the same case of when a woman is being raped. When they go to the police, they ask for help. They say, what were you wearing for you to be raped? Sometimes they come out with such characters. I'm not saying that's what always happens, but sometimes you are unlucky, and then you get there, you don't have a supportive psychologist or psychiatrist or a counselor, and then you feel like you can't go back there. So those are like one of those are the many challenges that a lot of people who go through depression or any other mental health illness sometimes go through, and that's what I think and I believe is the cause of suicide.
Would you say there's a lack of psychological support in most universities in Zimbabwe?
I think it's about time that all universities adopt a new strategy on how to help students with peer pressure, with home pressure, with study pressure, by having to offer psychologists in universities, having to say, if you are facing any type of challenges, you are able to go there.
Yes,
it's not just it's not just universities, it's also the police. I believe every institute that has youths in it should have that type of support. Lecturers, teachers should be trained on how to support children, how to approach them, what to do when they approach them. What also we have to realize is the same people we want to approach also are probably facing some type of mental breakdowns or depression.
Sure, yeah.
So there's some trainings that have to be done for them to, so that there'll be a system where there is some sort of support for everyone. Yeah.
It is very disheartening to see a lot of students actually taking their lives. Some would say that the environment in most universities is toxic for students to actually go and talk about their problems. What would you say the university authorities should do to make sure that the environment in universities is actually healthy for students to actually go out and talk about their problems?
I don't believe that people would avoid going to see a psychologist or a counselor if the environment was accepting. If it's just an environment where it doesn't feel like when you get there, even the counselor themselves, they'll start talking behind your back. I won't mention my own personal experience, but I mean my own personal university that I've been to, but we had a case where the counselor who we're supposed to go to was the same woman who would, say some mean things to students. So it was difficult. How can I go to you when already you're that type of person? Those are the type of issues you kind of face when you're in university as well. Also the office, where is the office? How's it like? Is it confidential when you get there? Is there privacy when you get there? But if it's an office where you have that lady or that man you're supposed to go to, where everyone is going there for different other issues, is it going to be a place, is it a place already that is welcoming? That's one of those issues that you have to really look into, and why most students fail to go and talk to them. Also lack of knowledge from the students to know that you can actually go and talk to that person. Also there's something that you have to also realize about suicide victims. The truth is they don't want to die. They don't. They want to leave, but they're tired of what they're going through. They want to escape. They just want to escape. But the truth is, if you have to sit down with a suicidal victim, an attempted suicidal victim, you realize that they don't really want to die, but they want their problems to be solved. So I think we just lack a lot of data around how students feel around things to do with mental health. We don't have enough data on what type of solutions they themselves want. Also, we can't just always be coming out with solutions for people. We need to also get their solutions and try and implement them, you know. So, yeah, Zimbabwe really lacks a lot of data around mental health, especially around the youth. So that's an area, a gap that I believe needs to be filled in.
To round up our discussion, where can one go for counseling in case they're going through mental breakdowns, they are facing depression, or they are just going through something? Where can they actually go and find someone to talk to?
There are a lot of organizations that do offer counseling. One in psychologists and psychiatrists. Contact is by First Avenue. You also have UBH, it's got a psychiatric unit. Impilo as well does have a psychiatric unit. You have Ngucheni. You have Samaritan. Samaritan deals with suicidal victims. Sometimes if you're a woman and you are depressed and your depression is also caused by abuse, there's Musasa Project. There are a lot of organizations that offer. I'm forgetting some of them, but it's a long list. Although we do lack more of them, because we do need more of them, yes, because of the lack of these services in government hospitals, and so especially the fact that most people feel like they are more able to reach out to government institutions for help. You can also find private psychiatrists and psychologists if you're able to get them. There's one place where you can go, it's across Tower Block. There's an office where there's also a psychologist, but that's private sector as well. But okay. Yeah.
Yes, mental health is just as important as physical health.
Yes.
And this discussion has been really great. Okay, would you like to give us any last words to encourage someone who's watching this? Maybe they could be depressed or they're going through something.
I'll say that if you're going through any type of mental health, that you can pick it up yourself. Go to the nearest institutions that offer help. Contact for One gives you that, they have a facility where you can talk to them via WhatsApp. So when you go, and it's free also, you can talk to them through WhatsApp. If you go there and you find out how, they can book you for sessions, so that also makes it very comfortable. You're in a comfortable setup. It's actually a lovely setting. There's Ngucheni, there's Mpilo as well. And what I can say to those who at home are going through depression, it's always best to talk to someone. Never keep it bottled in, because you will blow up on your own. You need to vent. And there are ways also of venting that you need to try and explore. Maybe a writer write stuff. Maybe a singer, sing as much as you can. If you're into to sports or whatnot, let that energy come off you. But whatever you do, do not commit suicide, because you do want to live. And in David, they say, so there's nothing that doesn't end. Even if you're going through the worst times in your life, there'll be a good day one day, believe it or not. Even though you don't want to believe it, there is a good day coming.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zenani, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure shedding some light on mental health with you.
Thank you.
Join us again on our next episode. From me and the side team, it's goodbye. Remember to stay in shape.